Good morning and a very warm welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited today to be joined here by the BSA Goldstar, a bike that I've been really intrigued about ever since its release a couple of years ago. Finally having a chance to test ride it today. I'm going to take you guys along with me and discuss whether this could potentially replace the Triumph Street Triple as a new bike in my garage in 2025. Okay, let's go through town, see how she fares through here. I'll double check when I go back inside and I'll flash it up on the screen. I'm not sure how much this bike weighs, but it feels so light and agile. It really does. It honestly feels like one of the lightest bikes I've ever ridden. I don't know if it is lightweight or if because the centre of mass is so low, but really does feel beautiful in town. You're going to be doing a lot of commuting, especially in town. Yeah, this is a bike that's going to need to be on your shortlist. Okay, so just coming out of this 30-mile-an-hour zone, let's just bring her up to 40, keep her in third, see how she pulls. Yeah, there's lots of punch there, We'll get up to an actual speed limit road in a second, but yeah, certainly have to ride in the Hemi up here to test ride the BSA Goldstar. Yeah, a lot more punch. Random Park, that might be a nice little place to kind of stop in a bit, give you a bit of a walk around of the bike, but I'll tell you what, let's just drop it down. Let's just annoy this car slightly, drop it down to third gear. 30, and we'll push on from 30 miles an hour in third, push her up to 60, see how she goes. Yeah, she feels really nice. A lot more punch than I expected actually. You need to remember that this BSA Goldstar is only pushing out 47 brake horsepower. And maybe it's just because I've ridden the Himalayan, but it really does feel like a significant amount more than that. If you're buying a bike that, you know, you just want to pootle around the lanes on, but you want something with a little bit of fun, a little bit of pep under the hood, I really do feel as though this is gonna give it to you. I test rode a Triumph. No, I didn't test ride a Triumph. I did test ride a Royal Enfield Interceptor. It was quite some time ago, so I need to test ride one again this time around. But from what I've just felt there, this does feel peppier than the Interceptor. So it is a really nice little bike. Another thing to note when sitting on the bike, this may be a good or a bad thing depending on your stature, but this does feel like a really small compact machine. So despite being a retro, I thought I was going to have quite a lot of leg room on this, but actually my legs are bent up at quite an acute angle. I'm only 5'7½", so being a slightly shorter rider, it's just about okay for me. But if you're over 6 foot, I think you're potentially going to struggle with this bike. In terms of everything, you kind of touch and feel the handlebars are in a really nice position. You feel really in control of the bike. You feel like you're in control of the bike rather than the bike being in control of you, which is really nice. In terms of the knee position, your knees just automatically hug that gorgeous tank on this bike. And it's just a really nice place to be, a nice link between the seat, your hands and your backside. But it's just, yeah, if you're slightly shorter, may not be for you, but for me, it's absolutely fine. So on the test ride I've just done, I've mentioned that my knee was at quite an acute angle, and you can see there just how angled that is. So it's a little bit more sporty in kind of how it feels than you'd expect from this kind of bike, so just something to be in mind of if you're on the market for a brand new BSA Goldstar. Brakes are pretty good on this, folks. No issues with stopping power on this bike at all. and this is definitely something that's better than the Interceptor. I remember the brakes on the Interceptor quite well. They weren't dreadful, but they weren't brilliant. These are a huge step up in quality from the brakes on the Interceptor. Okay, let's just wind it up. Hear that exhaust. I don't know how much you can hear on the camera, but this bike's got a really sweet exhaust note. Super impressed with it. I took the bike up to 70 miles an hour a little while ago on a dual carriageway, and one thing I was a little bit concerned about, this being a 650 single, is the vibrations. I don't know how BSA have done it, but there aren't any. I've never ridden a bike with such a big single cylinder engine that is so silky smooth. It's really impressive. If you didn't know this bike had a single in it, you'd probably say it was a twin, and that is one of the biggest compliments I can give to this bike. The engine really is fantastic. It goes well and it sounds good too. Okay, drop it down into fourth. Plenty of power to overtake. Hopefully you can hear me. But if you want a real bike for real road riding conditions that doesn't want to kill you all the time, and you want something with classic looks, this really is a bike that needs to be on your shortlist. I'm really not sure why BSA aren't doing more to advertise their bikes. There was a lot of hype around this bike when it first came out, and it's all gone very quiet ever since. Royal Enfield do an excellent job of marketing their bikes, but unfortunately BSA are nowhere to be seen. When this bike first came out, it was £6,500. Now you can pick one of these up brand new for just £5,000, which, to be honest, for a bike in this class, if you're comparing it with Triumphs and the such like, with a 650 engine, this is an absolute no-brainer. It's such a great little bike. And the bike is a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, I feel. So in terms of the engine, it's really strong, it's really powerful, it's really punchy. So you probably think, okay, it must be like a sporty rider, but it's not. When you turn it into the corner, it's not quite as sharp as I would like. And if it wasn't for the engine being so good, so strong and so powerful, I wouldn't expect that from the bike. But you just assume with that much punch, you're going to have the handlings to kind of match that, and you don't. And it's not necessarily an issue. If you just want to kind of ride a little bit more sedately, it's absolutely fine. But if you're expecting this bike to be a bit of an animal around the corners, I mean, I don't know why you'd expect a classic bike to be like that, then you may be slightly disappointed. It's just because of the power the engine has. I kind of thought it'd handle ever so slightly better, or ever so slightly sharper, but still, it's a cracking bike. It really is. Okay, doing a lot of 60-mile-an-hour rides at the moment, so we're just going to go back in the other direction. Which means I get an opportunity to wind this thing up from a standstill. Hopefully you can hear it. That never gets old. It's got so much punch for a 650, it really has. Super impressive. Okay, let's say the fueling is at slightly slower speeds there. Throttle is so sensitive. Maybe it's just because I've got off of the Himalayan, but it seems super responsive. And when you come off of the throttle, it just kind of dies. It's a little bit jerky. I think you'll get used to it. I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker. It certainly wouldn't be for me. But yeah, just something to be mindful of. This bike as well has only got 200 miles on it, so it is not running whatsoever. So yeah, just something to bear in mind, but something I thought worth mentioning. I was hoping this was going to be really quiet today, so I could do a bit of a walk around of the bike, but it's absolutely packed. Okay. Don't think it's going to happen in here today, folks, but we will find somewhere else. One thing I have found myself doing just a little bit, and this is again something you would definitely get used to, I find myself missing the gear lever sometimes. It feels a little bit of a distance away from the foot peg, which may just be a me issue, but I've never experienced that on any other bike I've ridden before. So again, it's not going to be a deal breaker for you. You're going to get used to it, but just something to be mindful of. I've spent a good couple of hours on this bike, and I feel as though I've got to know it fairly well in that time. The natural comparisons, of course, have to be with the Interceptor, because realistically, this is what that bike goes up against. With the Interceptor, you've got a parallel twin. With this, you've got a single. Do not automatically discount the BSA. You're not getting an inferior bike because you've got one less cylinder. Not at all. I cannot believe, and I know I keep banging on about it, I cannot believe just how smooth this single is. It really has impressed me. Looks are subjective. I think this bike looks the part. Between this and the Interceptor, it's a tough call, and I'm still not sure I've made my mind up which way I'd go in the looks department. But yeah, in terms of the engine, this has, should I say, exceeded any expectations or any preconceptions that I had. In terms of handling in town, it's amazing. It's so light, it's so agile. Moving it off of the stand is an absolute breeze. When it comes to the handling at slightly higher speeds, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, that's when it doesn't turn in quite as sharply as I would have liked it to. And that's where I think there's a bit of a disparity between how good and how responsive that engine is and the handling of the bike. But take nothing away from this. For a package coming in at just £5,000, it's excellent value for money. If you're in the market for one of these, head down to Brandon Car and Motorcycle Centre. Tell them I sent you. Lovely chaps, they'll be more than happy to show you around, show you through all the different models, all the different colour options, all the different variants. It's not just BSAs they stock. They've got a plethora of other bikes there, and I'll try and throw some B-roll in now just to give you a bit of a taste and a bit of an overview of what they've got. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This bike is well and truly on the shortlist. It was before, but it is now more than ever. Ride safe, take care, and until the next time, goodbye.